And we're continuing to follow new fallout over the military texts involving a journalist on Signal.
So the Atlantic just published the full Signal chat messages showing military plans about U.S. strikes in Yemen. So that text chain inadvertently included the Atlantic's editor-in-chief, Jeffrey Goldberg. That article that was published today quotes texts from Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth that specify the types of aircraft and the timing of those recent airstrikes against Houthi militants.
The conversation was candid and sensitive, but as the President National Security Advisor stated, no classified information was shared.
Now, the Pentagon had warned using the Signal app was a target of hackers. That warning issued 3 days after the Yemen attacks. So you may be asking, why is this such a big deal, and what makes something classified?
Tonight, NBC5 investigates those questions and other unknowns linked to this Signal scandal. Our investigative reporter Chuck Goudie joins us now with tonight's top story. Chuck.
Mary, Stefan, tonight we are all spectators to a war of words underway. The first shots on a digital battlefield, an app called Signal used by teenagers and adults to privately communicate and share videos with friends. It's a favorite for sexting because it's encrypted, but it's not intended to be a government venue for anything sensitive, such as the decisions about whether to wage a U.S. military attack against Houthi rebels, strongholds in Yemen on the Arabian Peninsula. The landscape lit up in Yemen by American firepower, discussed in detail by U.S. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth and top U.S. security officials, including Vice President Vance, meeting via a Signal app text chain, an app that warns of its own vulnerability to surveillance and espionage, especially by Russian hacking groups. Messages from Hegseth describing F-18 first strike window starts and strike drones launch, along with pages of detailed text about the American attack on Houthi targets that leveled buildings a week ago today. The reporting of this government meeting on a non-government, non-classified public messaging server comes from Atlantic magazine editor-in-chief Jeffrey Goldberg, who was inadvertently allowed on the call.
If that's not secret, classified information about, or the most sensitive kind of government information in the world, I don't know what is.
Defense Secretary Hegseth, a former Fox News host, tonight contends the information wasn't war plans, it was attack plans, and not classified.
There's no units, no locations, no routes, no flight paths, no sources, no methods.
There are several levels of classified information designated by the president and various agency heads. Pentagon officials maintain the Signal information wasn't classified. But by any measure, it was sensitive and potentially dangerous in the wrong hands as an attack was launching.
It's highly classified. It's war-fighting plans.
DePaul law professor Gregory Mark was an attorney for the Independent Counsel during the Iran-Contra affair, a government arms trafficking scandal in the early 80s. Mark tonight recalls the great lengths he and colleagues went to in discussing sensitive information, classified or not.
Suppose there were 6 people who had access to code word level intelligence, classified stuff at the highest level. You can't talk about it over table at Starbucks, even if there are only 6 of you there. And if one of your buddies walks up, you certainly can't keep talking about it.
The use of a non-secure messaging platform to discuss an impending U.S. military attack does send a terrible message, according to Mark, to all the men and women who serve and follow regulations.
People don't take kindly to rules which only police inferiors and don't police the superiors simultaneously. It's a basic question of the equal application of rules, the equal application of the law.
This is the 3rd time since President Trump was sworn in that supposedly secret and certainly sensitive information was made public to U.S. adversaries. In early February, the CIA sent out an unclassified email with a list of all recently hired employees. Last week, the release of unredacted crime files from President Kennedy's assassination contained CIA personnel secrets, internal spycraft details, and even full Social Security numbers. All these military details have always been considered classified. It still hasn't been explained why these weren't.
Bottom line is they were on a text. Anybody could have turned and shown their phone to anyone. There was no securing this information, no matter how they wanted to classify.
Well, that's exactly
Call it,
what that's exactly what happened, Mary.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
A lot of explanations and answers yet to be heard.
You mentioned it's a digital battlefield now. So
it is that.
Thank you so much, Chuck.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, Chuck.